Welcome, art lovers, to Art Gallery Explorer. This is the vlog which explores and celebrates the London art scene. And today, as you can hopefully see behind me, I'm in Trafalgar Square. The Trafalgar Square Christmas tree is being put up as we speak. That's always a gift from Norway ever since the Second World War. And it makes me feel all Christmassy, especially when you flip round and see the Christmas market is back outside the wonderful National Gallery. Today I'm here to explore what I've come to call a Room 46 special. This is a small, intimate show in Room 46 of the National Gallery, often just focusing on one or two works. And until the 9th of March, it's the turn of Parmigianino, that Italian mannerist whose Vision of St Jerome is one of the National Gallery's loved Renaissance masterpieces. It's been in restoration for 10 years. It's been quite a complicated restoration, as I'll explain. And so it's getting its own little mini show to celebrate it coming back into the halls of the National Gallery. I'm expecting there to be some preparatory works and the story of how this work came about. Parmigianino was a mannerist, as I said, born in Parma. He spent a brief time in Rome where this Visions of St Jerome was made before being forced to flee north to Bologna and then back to Parma. He died at the young age of 37. I can't wait to see this work. I haven't seen it for over 10 years. And I love these Room 46 shows because they get you the chance to slow down, focus on one work. Don't sort of go from masterpiece to masterpiece, as we're all sometimes guilty of doing, but just explore the creation of one masterpiece. So come and join me as we have a look at this show, which is on all the way until I think it's the 9th of March 2025. If you're coming to the Van Gogh show or to another show just to visit the gallery, make sure you step into Room 46 and look at this work. It's particularly apt that Parmigianino's The Vision of St Jerome is being shown in the 200th anniversary year of the National Gallery, because this painting was one of the really early pieces. It joined the National Gallery in 1826, and so it's been in the collection almost since the start. And hopefully you can see here the restoration has been spectacular. Parmigianino himself was born in 1503 in Parma and produced this masterpiece at the age of just 23. The painting was produced during a 3-year stay in Rome, and it was a commission from a wealthy widow, Maria Buffalini, and it was meant as an altarpiece for her husband's burial chapel in the church of San Salvatore in Lauro. This was an important commission, a chance for Parmigianino to make his mark in Rome. The painting shows us St John the Baptist pointing up towards a radiant Madonna and Child. On the right, as you can just see, moving out of shot, is St Jerome, who lies supine, almost seemingly overcome by this vision, hence the nickname of the painting, the Vision of St Jerome. The first thing that strikes you about the Vision of St Jerome is how tall and narrow it is. As you can see here, it must have been a technical challenge for the artist to squeeze in all of the figures that he wanted to show in this masterpiece. And the exhibition explains the creative process as to how this masterpiece came about. The exhibition brings together a range of preparatory drawings for this masterpiece, brought together from across the United States and Europe, as well as from British institutions. This red chalk drawing was produced at the time he was working on the Vision of St Jerome and shows Parmigianino working in motion almost. We see a partially reclining St Jerome on the right, but he is still awake, unlike in the final masterpiece, and he looks up at a gesture by John the Baptist. Looser doodles you can hopefully see in the background show heads in conversation, and we're just it's almost as if we're looking over the artist's shoulder at work and motion. We peek over Parmigianino's shoulder to see him working on this figure of St Jerome. His body is shown as twisting through the head, hips and feet, and the exhibition points us to Michelangelo and his muscular figures as a possible inspiration. After that experimentation, we then see in this wonderful drawing from the Getty Museum, Parmigianino arrive at the final reclined position of St Jerome. Obviously, this is a Michelangelo-esque, quite erotic, muscular nude. Yet, because this painting was commissioned to be placed in a chapel in memorial to the husband of the widow who commissioned it, we then see the artist place drapery over the figure of Saint Jerome to make him more acceptable to the subject matter of the painting. We also see the artist begin to prepare to paint the Virgin and Child, and this nude is obviously a very long way from the Virgin Mary that we see in the final piece. But the exhibition points out that the use, sorry, of black and white chalk provides a contrast of light and shadow, which is carried through to the final painting in terms of the dramatic illumination of the Virgin and Christ Child at the top of the work. And we just see in this piece as well the artist constantly being aware of the confines of the size of the altarpiece. Have a look at that little semicircle arc at the top to confirm. The bottom of the Vision of St Jerome is quite lush with plants and branches and twigs and leaves. And so it's quite interesting to see this woodland study, which was a drawing produced at the same time as he was working on the Vision of St Jerome, as an insight into how he practiced the technique of nature painting. We see in these final two sketches how Parmigianino battled with the narrow confines of the commissioned panel. In this first version, the failed version, if you like, we see a more conventional symmetrical plan with the Virgin and Christ Child above, and then the saints shrunk below to the same size, John the Baptist and St. Jerome. This clearly wasn't working and didn't satisfy the artist, so he turned the page and tried a different technique, which is a more unusual asymmetrical design. He enlarges John the Baptist and develops the idea for this distinctive upward curving arm, whereas Saint Jerome is reclining, but is kind of pushed back a little bit into the background. And even though it's asymmetrical, it makes for a much more harmonious whole, as you can see from the final version here. And it's one of the things which makes the painting both so glorious but also so unusual. It's fair to say that the Vision of St Jerome by Parmigianino has split critical opinion since it first arrived at the National Gallery in 1826. I love it as a work, and I love this exhibition because it's such a good chance to see the creative process, to see, as you can see here, preparatory sketches right next door to the finished masterpiece. And these sketches have been brought together with the masterpiece for the first time in centuries. I really like the skill of Parmigianino, and I advise you to spend time standing in front of this masterpiece and really drinking in the details with your eyes. I also love the mystery of the painting and the story as well, because we know it today as the Vision of St Jerome, but its original title was The Virgin and Christ Child with St John the Baptist and St Jerome. Was certainly not called the Vision of St Jerome, and there's a question mark as to whether that's what the artist even intended to be showing. And the story is quite remarkable as well, because this painting survived the sack of Rome in 1527, when Parmigianino was forced to flee Rome, leaving the painting behind. And that was a sad event for him because it kind of curtailed his artistic career. Rome was the place to be in Italy by 1526, 1527. The painting has subsequently gone through many moves. It was very lucky to escape a fire when it had been removed from a building that burnt down, and also to escape an earthquake. So, in lots of ways, it's miraculous that it arrived in London and joined our national collection in 1826. When you learn about that history, it's not surprising that the painting has taken at 10 years to restore, and indeed there was damp damage and other damage from its movements around. And always in these cases, the restorers also have to spend a lot of time undoing previous well-meaning attempts at restoration. The frame that you can see here is brand new, produced by the National Gallery's team, but from archive material of frames from the 1520s period. So it's a really special show. I would like to thank the National Gallery for inviting me to to a preview of this show, and I really recommend that you get along to room 46 when you are at the National Gallery next to see the glorious Vision of St Jerome in its full pomp. Thank you ever so much for watching, and stay tuned for many more reviews as we wrap up the year.